I was like, listen, I don't want to do any of that. But you mentioned you're going to teach me about money. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that I want. I don't want to do this. I don't want to start a financial business.
Yeah.
I don't want to run a firm. But if you're going to teach me about financial literacy so I can improve my life and my family's life, I'm down for that.
Interesting.
So that's how I ended up getting started. And they were out there in Orlando. I was out here in Dallas. And I spent 2 weeks on Zoom. I'm like, this is not for me. I'm like, this is not for me. I called the guy that sent me that text back and I was like, hey, listen, I think you should pursue this. I think it's gonna be great for you, but I've decided to go real estate route.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, I get a phone call from Dean and he's like, listen, man, before you make a final decision, I want to introduce you to somebody. I want to introduce you to Matt and Sheena Sopala. They're having a meeting tonight, put on something sharp and go. And I went and I wasn't sure what to expect.
We just moved down here.
You guys had just relocated and I hadn't even known that. I didn't know who you were in the business. I didn't know who you were professionally, personally. So he said, just show up at this address and ask for Sheena Sopala. I said, okay. So I showed up at the address and I'll never forget how I felt the first time I walked into a PHP office. I immediately felt welcomed. And I immediately felt included. I just moved out here. I knew nobody. So I was uncomfortable. I wasn't sure what to expect. And you may not realize this about me now, but I'm probably the most introverted person that you've ever met. I'm very, very introverted. I'm very to myself.
I couldn't tell from Tuesday's pregame that you're introverted. You know, Andre's rocking in her office on Tuesday.
So yeah, I felt welcomed. I felt included. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to quit today. And I just kept coming back. I kept coming back. And then I really started to realize, I'm like, no, this is how I can give back. This is how I can really serve my community, is by educating and teaching people, giving them information about stuff that's deliberately kept out of communities. When I really realized, when I started learning about finances, when you were educating me about finance, you took me under your wing and you were teaching me and you were training me. And I'll never forget when I sit here, I'm like, Matt, how is it I'm in my mid 40s and I've never heard about any of this?
Crazy.
I've never heard about an IUL. I've never heard about an annuity. I've never heard about tax-free retirement. And I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
And you kind of broke it down like, well, it's deliberately kept out of the media. Like there's tight restrictions on advertisement. And I was like, so they don't want us to know.
Yeah.
That was my first indication. I was like, this is what I want to do.
You know, this is interesting. A couple podcasts ago, and it's amazing how political financial products and services are.
Crazy.
And it filters down to the people that actually ultimately use the financial products and services.
Right.
You know, there's a guy, I forgot what his name was, but he was doing a study on 401k returns of people who have a company who has a higher returns than a company who has a lower returns. And he come up with a term called yield disparity. Like, what is that? What's yield disparity? So basically, the higher income earners of the company have a higher rate of return, even though it's the same 401k plan.
Right.
Then the people that may be the receptionists and the janitors and the entry-level people have a lower rate of return on the 401k plan. It's the same 401k plan.
Right.
And the revelation was, well, people with a higher income level have different conversations with people, their advisors, their counsel, their network of how to take advantage of the 401k, because they have more access to that financial literacy and financial conversation than people in the lower income brackets would.